Is it going?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, Dad. Happy Father's Day. I know you're kind of a fish nut, so I thought I would just show you my fish. These two right here are some aquaponics toads. They pump up water from down here in these reservoirs up through here, and that feeds the vegetables. And they kind of fill up, and then once they get to a certain point, it dumps all the water back down in there, so it kind of circulates. And so the plants get raised. The fertilizer comes from the fish poop down here, and in here we have some tilapia. We have a bunch of babies we're trying to raise up. Hopefully you can see them. There's quite a few of them, and these guys are juvenile, so they're probably gonna be digging on these worms. A lot of the small fish that I raise are kind of like micro predators, and so they love little goodies. These guys are vegetarians, but in their juvenile stages they like a bit more protein, and they were going kind of nuts over these little worms. These guys aren't too old, so they're not really producing a lot of waste for the plants, but as that goes along, these are blue Nile tilapia, so they're from like Egypt natively, but you know, they're aquacultured all over the place, so I'm sure these are some kind of mutant hybrid kind of a thing, but it's supposed to be really damn tough and taste halfway decent. So these guys seem to be doing pretty good. I have the air, they just have a sponge filter in here. All these tanks are really filtered by sponges, and so they just have some air coming up through here that creates this current where it sucks through the sponge, and that's the biological. Then of course these guys have the plants to filter the water. This is pretty much an identical setup. We have some strawberries growing in here, and this one has little channel cats, but you probably won't see them because they don't like to be seen. If you come out here and shine a flashlight at night, they're bebopping all over the place, but they're nowhere to be seen right now. So that's about all there is to that. There's about 20 little channel cats in there. Over here we have a tank that's full of green water. That's going to eventually raise small shrimp for, you know, people, aquarists use them as to accent their tanks. Those ones are blue. That one over there has Pygmy Sunfish in it, and you probably can't see any. And then this over here, this is the input from water from the koi pond. It comes into here and the solids settle out, and then it gets pumped through here into this filter and gets recirculated back into the koi pond. So we have greens growing in here on these little rafts made out of styrofoam, and we got it covered up so that the bugs didn't get it. They were just totally hammering all the lettuce, and had to cover it up, and I finally picked all the bugs out of there, so that stuff's going pretty well. And we'll head over this way. And here's of course the koi pond, and they're hiding, so we'll throw a little bit of food in there and get those guys to come up. They've pretty much eaten most of the water lilies. I had to pull some of these out of the water garden because they chewed all my other ones down to the nubs. And I think there was about 9 koi in here and a couple of goldfish. Some of them are pretty good size.
Yeah, you can see Skeletor.
There's a there's an channel cat in here, an albino channel cat that I raised since it was a little tiny guy about this big. He's probably about 14 to 16 inches long now. He's kind of cool, but he won't be coming out here in the middle of the day. The water was clearing up a bit, but you know, it's just green because lots of sunlight, the water's getting warm. Guess not a lot to see. Maybe I'll splice in some footage of them a little bit later. There's my black koi. And all still. Right. That's Lady Gaga right there. She's kind of got metallic and Skeletor. And I don't know what. That guy is 18 years old right there. He was that one right there. Not very big because he was in a small pond for most of his life, but actually he's 20 years old now. 21, I think, because the guy told me he built his pond in '99. I'll probably like alternate between showing some underwater shots. And in here is this water garden, and we have some bluefin killifish that are out of Florida. And yeah, they're pretty small. You're not going to see them, but there's tons of babies in there. And this is kind of where, you know, we grow some water lilies, hopefully some lotus. Over here is another aquaponics tote. And this has a big channel cat living down in the bottom that I got at the Asian food store. And a couple years ago. It's pretty big. And this has a little airlift thing, and it pumps water up through here and then drains back down. There's a mess of goldfish in here. I had these guys in the water garden to keep from making a mosquito factory out of it. And then I just put them in here. I think if they venture down low enough, they end up being catfish food, but they seem to be repopulating themselves, so the big lunker catfish takes one out every once in a while and they make more. It's amazing how tough these guys are. Now we'll head here around the corner, and this is, we'll be looking directly south. So this really only gets sun overhead, you know, from say like 1 to 3 that it's really beating down in here. And so between the fans and the shade cloth, this stays fairly cool back here. And this is where I raise my fish that I sell. And these are some rainbow shiners. These guys are quite colorful. I am hoping that they will spawn. Then I will pull the adults out, and hopefully there will be lots of eggs in here and little baby ones. These guys absolutely hate to eat. They, you know, run from food at any opportunity. Of course not, but they really like these little tiny grindle worms. Yeah, they just go after them voraciously. This thing has kind of set up where it has a pretty good amount of current coming around here, so the current kind of wraps around, and they kind of like it. They kind of sit over here and kind of swim into the current, thinking they're in a river or something. Usually feed these guys a couple times a day. Try to. They'll eat flake food. They'll eat anything. So these would be kind of cool for, you know, somebody for their fish tank if they're into native fish. I kind of find that having native fish as aquarium pets or whatever is a whole hell of a lot less trouble than tropical fish, because you don't have to have a heater and they can stand a wider range of temperature. Here's the rainbow shiners. This is kind of when the afternoon, when the light's coming in and hitting these guys pretty well. You can see a lot of good color. Down here are some long-eared sunfish, Lepomis megalotus, and they should be coming up to attack those pellets in a little bit. I'll probably stick in some underwater footage. Yeah, they can kind of tend to be a little bit shy. Unless you have worms, they'll come up and eat them out of your hand. Yeah, there's not really a lot to see on that. They're not cooperating very much as usual. And of course we have a lazy dog here blocking the way. Move, Bill. Alright, this is Elisoma gilberti. These are a pygmy sunfish. Maximum size is about an inch, maybe just a hair over. And these guys are little micro predators. Put some worms in there and I would not doubt that we'll have one. So, there comes one right now. There's a couple. And they have really, the males have a really cool electric blue accents to them. And I can probably stick in some pretty good footage here of them. This I catch catch juvenile ones and put them in here in kind of this isolation area because they will eat newly hatched ones. And yeah, there's a lot of them in here. There's actually some blue shrimp in here. They're kind of good to see at night, but you know, they there's a couple of them there eating. I can see 2 or 3 of them. These guys have gotten kind of calm. They used to be pretty skittish. I can sometimes, if they're up here by the surface, I can actually reach in and get one with my hand. And hold on a second. I will be back. I'm going to go. You can just leave it going, and I'll just cut that part out. I'll go get a net and see if I can scoop one up and go. All right, let's see if we can catch 1 or 2 of these guys and get a good look at them. Okay. Come here, little man. Okay. Get a good look at this guy. Let's see here. They have some cool markings. There you go, little guy. Oh, and I dropped the net down there. We'll set that over there. These guys these tanks are really simple. They are just filtered by some sponges. Maybe come around here, you can get probably a good idea. See it. Look at this one over here. This is just a piece of pipe with air bubbling up through the center, and the water circulates through that sponge, so it gives it, you know, it's just basically a farm for the bacteria. And then of course I have pothos and some other plants cutting in here. And here's some pothos growing in this tank, and that helps remove some of the nitrogen. It's actually quite an efficient system. These guys have computer fans up here that run off a solar panel. There's a little bit of extra lighting in here, but this is all run by a solar panel so that it doesn't cost any electricity really. I think I have 6 of these tanks. No, on this one I have 5 of these tanks run off a single air pump, and then the cooling is done off the solar panel on the roof, just wired into these fans, so they get evaporative cooling. And even, you know, last summer when it was getting up to 110, I don't think the water in here got much over 80 degrees, so that was pretty cool. Right now it's at 73. I think it's probably
95 maybe.
It's gonna be, you know, it's been averaging in the 90s to the low hundreds, so that's pretty good.
What's in here?
Those are Elisoma gilberti as well.
Oh, okay.
Those are the last 2 tanks have been the same fish, but those were collected at a slightly different location, a little bit further south. So they're in a separate container because I wanted to keep them isolated. But I actually sell a few of those. And this here is rainbow darters. These guys are really pretty cool. See if I can get my hand down there without all my worms falling out.
The glare is so bad.
Is it?
Yeah. No, right where you're at is good.
Okay. So here I have a handful of worms, and these guys are not shy at all. They come right out. The males are really quite colorful. I think these are from like Ohio or something. There's lots of different species of these darters, but these are, you know, these are some pretty colorful ones. And I've had some of these for a few years now. They bred a little bit. I just recently got a few more to add in here and took some of the other ones. I had a few other species of fish in here, but I decided to make these just simply rainbow darters because I kind of think they're kind of cool. I'm sure I could probably sell a few of these, but hey, you know, this is definitely just more something because we like them. They're kind of fun little guys. They're certainly not shy, and I kind of like feeding them. They just come up here and they're hanging out, and they come running every time they see me. They don't have swim bladders, so you know, they like to come and sit on your hand, so that because if they quit paddling, they start sinking. And there's quite a few of these guys in here. Some of the littler ones are ones I recently purchased, or some of the babies that were born over the winter. I have some a different species of darters that I'm hoping to set up and get going, but those guys are inside, and so that might be a video for another time. All right, we forgot about these guys. These guys are some Bantam Sunfish that I recently got, and I'll see if I can get some decent shots of them. Okay, these are the Bantam Sunfish. These guys appear to be max size, about 1.5 inches. Not really having the greatest of luck getting video. The lighting's kind of funky, and the camera doesn't want to focus, but it's not too bad. It's kind of, the lighting is kind of back behind us, so I'm curious to see how these guys color up. They've only been here a week and a half, I don't know, not very long. And this tank is right by the back porch, so they were kind of stressed out a little bit, but they seem to have gotten used to it, and they're doing pretty well now. They don't seem to care. So we'll see what kind of color they develop. All right. Well, I hope that you have a pleasant Father's Day, and I hope you enjoyed seeing all the little fishes. And maybe we'll have to come up there this summer and do some fishing up at the lake or something. That would be pretty cool.